So we have 4 farms that are going to raise marijuana. Now this is in Truro. I'm a 3rd generation Truro person. For me, Truro is nirvana. It's utopia. It is not a place for grass.
Why?
So you're
Why?
asking.
Wait, can I speak for a moment? So, the state of Massachusetts legalized recreational marijuana. You look down the road, we have the vineyards. They're growing grapes. Grapes get turned into alcohol, a controlled substance. Now, I understand that this may not be for you, but the state, it's legal here in our state. So that has already been voted upon and decided upon. And currently, your neighbors are allowed to grow 6 plants at their home per adult, 12 plants per household currently. And that is going on currently all over Truro right now, legally. Okay.
Can I talk?
Oh, please.
I think that's been going on in Truro probably for all of my life. Truro is a very unique and wonderful place.
Agreed.
And you talk about wanting to keep it the same. I want to get back to my original question because we're getting sidetracked here with emotions, and I don't want to do that. I want to be very specific.
Certainly.
Which is 4 farms. What are you going to give to the town for the town to allow you to grow marijuana?
Can I speak to that? I'm going to give to the town, keeping my land, rural agricultural land. Truro has been rural farmland most of its life, and all of it is being eaten up by money coming here that builds gigantic houses and puts these monstrosities all over the place, and nobody's panicking. Well, I'm originally from Nantucket. I'm going to tell you, you better panic. And this will take a number of sites and make them economically feasible for the local people who live on them and who want to keep them as rural as can possibly be and comply with the state rules and regulations.
But it will with vegetables too.
It will
Yeah,
what?
you can do
I
that
live
with
I have
vegetables, too.
4 acres where I live. And I grow vegetables, and I have a house cleaning business and a property management business, and my husband's a carpenter and a fisherman, and we need to do all of those things just to hold on to my little antique cape, which I bought almost 20 years ago. I could turn around right now and sell my house and not have to be a house cleaner, a property manager, a carpenter. All we're looking to do is augment our income. And again, we're not making $1 million. That is not what this is about. Whether or not we want to share our business plan, please let me finish. So what I'm trying to do is augment my income so that I can continue to provide food to our community, that I can continue to work in the school. The money I make there isn't really what I make house cleaning, but I'm getting a little old to be doing that. And so what we're trying to do is provide the ability for young families, or maybe I'm not young and my kids are getting old, but families to remain in Truro and keep that integrity. Or I could sell my house and let someone build a 6,000 square foot mansion on my property, and I could retire pretty much at this point. But I want to be here. I love it here. I want to sell food at the farmer's market. I want to volunteer at the ag fair. I want to do all of that. But in order to do that, what am I providing? I think I provide a lot to this community, honestly.
Yes, you do. There's no question about
But
it.
I can't really, so what this is doing is it's making it economically viable for the farmers to continue, because you know what? Selling a potato for $4 a pound, and I work really hard growing potatoes. It's really not paying all my bills.
But you know, there are other people in this town with problems that have money problems.
I'm not asking, yeah, but I'm not asking anyone else to help me with my money
I
problem.
just think for 4 families to want a business that is so, that will change the town forever.
I have
Will
one
be
question.
known
Have you
for a
ever
town
been to
that
my
sells-
farm before? Or have you been to True Joy Farm before? I'm just curious. Have you actually been to any? Have you seen my farm before? I'm just curious at how is it changing things?
Because we're not retail.
Because it's growing marijuana.
Which is
What's-
illegal.
What's
which is
bad
legal.
about that?
Which the town voted to do.
67% of this town voted on it.
66% of this town voted for legalization.
61, I'm sorry, I was over 6%. 61% of our population said it was okay. And regardless, it's the law. I mean, I don't think we need as many liquor stores here, but I'm not here to tell people that we should have less bars. That's called capitalism, free, free enterprise, free market. If they think that we can have a liquor store in North Truro and in Truro and at Salty's and at Jan's, we have 5 places to buy alcohol in Truro. There's 1,200 of us in the winter, and I could say a third of them are children. Do we need all that alcohol?
We certainly do not.
We do not, but is it our place if somebody buys a building and passes their special permit and they're by the zoning bylaws, I can't say, hey, I'm not a drinker and I don't want your liquor store here. That's not how it works.
I'm gonna reel things back a second because you initially asked for what financial money we're gonna give.
No, I'm looking at anything that will.
Okay, well, there's two separate things. There's the host community agreement, okay, which we have to come to agreement with the town council and everyone. There's gonna be income coming there that will cover the uses of the town resources. So if the town is going to take this much money as a resource to manage our industry, this new industry, if they're going to, it's going to cost the town this much, then that will be part of the host community. They can't charge extra. They can only charge what is accounted for. When we talk about giving,
Is that a
it's maximum 3% of our gross for a maximum of 5 years. So, if you looked at most of our profit and loss statements, it's not a lot of money. Because guess what? We're not going to make a lot of money. That's the there's an impression that we're here to make millions of dollars, and that's what our intentions are to do. That's not really it. We want to supplement our income so we can live a little bit more comfortable lifestyle. Okay, and hopefully for some of the people who are lucky enough to own land in Truro, be able to stay here and keep it going. Okay.
Maybe possibly ever.
I've been farming here for 31 years. I make like $4 an hour. Okay. Literally, I pay my employees well and I pay my bills, but I'm literally like making $4 an hour. Okay. I was unable, after living here for 30 some odd years, and like really feel like Truro was my utopia as well, right? I had to move to Harwich because I couldn't afford a house here. Right? I couldn't do it. We couldn't even come close to affording a house here. So the options are limited for people in my generation. I'm 51, okay, and then someone in Drake's age group is even more limited. So your question about what we're going to give to the town, I thought was initially financially what we're going to give to the town. We're going to give a percentage of our profits to the town nonprofits, and only to the town nonprofits. Okay, that's where it's going to go. We feel like that's important. Council on Aging is important to us. Truro Rec is important to us. The school, obviously, our kids have all been there, is important to us. So those are the avenues that we're going to be giving our profits, a percentage of our profits to. We have not decided in our bylaws what that percentage is yet. Because we haven't, at the beginning of our bylaw creation, we didn't have any idea of our profit and loss statements and everything else, what it was going to look like. So we couldn't just say, well, we're going to give $100,000 a year every year for the rest of our lives. We couldn't do that. So we're in the process, consensusly, to come up with what percentage of our profits are we going to be giving to the town. It will be some. It's in our bylaws. We're going to make sure we do it. That's part of who we are, and that's what we're going to do. So we're going to do the host community agreement, whatever that is. We don't know yet. and then we're gonna do a percentage of our profits are gonna go into it, okay? If our net gross is really small, and we're not making a lot of net, then, it's unfortunate, and then we're assuming in the beginning from at least our business, profit loss statements, very little profit is gonna be made for the first few years until we can get to our production model down, learn how to get to 5 or 8 pounds per plant like John is talking about. None of us are gonna get there in year 1. We're just gonna farming does not allow that to happen. You can't just put it on paper. There's too many factors. A hurricane comes, we're done. It's flat and simple, our business is done. So, it's gonna be a percentage of our profits, guaranteed gonna be delivered to some of the nonprofits in this town. And that is what we can commit today to you. As far as an actual number and a percentage, we can't do that yet.
Yeah, no, and I unfortunately just want to, for the record, make a couple of comments. First of all, I don't expect you to have to give any of your products to anybody. I think you should be able to keep all of your products.
Well, that's what we expect of ourselves.
Yeah, so number one. And number two is, I support you farming, I support you farming and cultivating marijuana. So I just want to be clear on that, and I think you're right, and I think for the additional income that you need, for all the things that you said, I agree with you, I do. My only concerns are any precedent that might be set for other industries, but I think that's been addressed. Just maybe taking it slow, just want to make sure that we do this thoughtfully, and I think you're doing that, so you're encouraging me in this meeting. And then 3 would be probably the structures, but I think that you are as concerned about that as I am, right? As you said, this is your town. And then down the road, how big can it get? And can we just be sort of cognizant of that and be thoughtful in how this grows? So that's really, I just want to be clear.
I think it's a precedence with this group that we're good neighbors. It's always been that way, that's who we are as individuals already, So I think that's going to project itself into our businesses. The special permit process is going to slow stop anything that would get out of control, or if it blossoms into something huge. It doesn't fit in with the town. The special permit process is there to make sure that whatever our businesses fit within the town's whatever bylaws and chapters and charters and all the things that we've created in this town. We're going to follow those guidelines. We're not asking for anything other than just following the guidelines that already exist.
And that's why probably the place would be to voice more of my concerns would be with the folks who are going to finalize these bylaws and stuff, just to make sure. I think you would probably...
You as a town voter are going to be the one who finalizes the town bylaws.
Exactly.
There's going to be bylaws submitted, and I don't know what they're going to look like because it's in flux for sure.
Your farmers and one farm, I support.
Right.
So I appreciate the support.
Thank you. And the bylaws that everyone is working on have limits to the, not just for us, but as you were saying, for the future, not, limits of another co-op or other cultivators, because nobody, A, wants to see, that type of growth, and B, it is cost prohibitive. For someone to come to Truro and buy a piece of land with that intention, it's not really economically viable, the cost of land here. So I don't see that necessarily happening, but part of the bylaws had limits on the number of cultivators, the number of micro businesses, so that it will be finite, so that it won't just be open-ended like you were discussing.
Yeah, you have to excuse me, I'm going to have to go. I just did an immunotherapy today, so my blood's kind of whipped. See you, John. All right, see you all later.
So, Drake's still here to answer questions with your joy that we need to let John go and Deb go. So,
we're wrapping up.
Were you gonna go?
Marcia, you had a question. Marcia, should we? Yeah. You had one more question, Marcia?
You might be covered here, what did you say?
I wanted them to go through the slides for the rest of the farms so we could actually see how they lay out. That sort of helps everybody.
We have just a few minutes to go.
Marcia, would you?
Oh, you said you would address this later, and it was that You said something about a tier 3, and then what happens after 5 years? Does it become a 5 or a 7, or what does this mean?
So, okay, so we'll talk
Yeah,
about
you said
tiers
you'd
real
talk
quick.
about that, but
We don't have
I
a
like-
slide for tiers, and I apologize for that. Okay, tier 1 is up to 5,000 square feet of canopy, okay?
Yep.
Tier 2, 5,001 to 10,000 square feet. Tier 3, 10,001 to 2,000, to 20,000 square feet, sorry. You can see the pattern beginning. So tier 4, 2,001 to 30,000 square feet. Tier 5, 30,001 to 40,000. Tier 6, 40,001 to 50,000 square feet. Tier 7, 50,001 to 60,000 square feet. Should I go on, or you guys see the pattern?
So my
There's
question,
11 tiers total in the state.
There is a top end.
There is a top end. It's 100,000 square feet is the top end.
Combined
The
Combined
license-
total for the
The
5.
license is 100,000. So the way the tiers work, okay, an organization, whether it be a craft cooperative or a cultivator, a big cultivator, you're going to enter in a tier, okay? You then have to grow and sell 85% of your product after year 1. You have to release 85% of your inventory has to be sold before you can ask to move up a tier, okay? So if you don't sell 85% of your inventory and you have more left over, you are relegated back a tier.
okay,
And you have to wait another year with the state to move up tiers. Every year you can move up a tier. You can reevaluate your license yearly. Now, after that first year, it takes a year to get the crop growing and get an inventory. After that, it's every 6 months they're going to check. If 85% of your inventory is done you have to follow those benchmarks. You're always going to have to get rid of 85% of your product and inventory has to be sold every 6 months after the first year.
what happens to the other 15%?
It could be waste, it could be,
Oh, okay.
there's a lot of damage, it could just not sell. If marijuana is a non-stable product,
Right,
okay, it breaks down over time. So the quality is great in the beginning, and then every day after that, it drops down.
okay.
So by the time you get down to, a year later, that might not be worth anything but going to be destroyed.
And there is, in the
sorry.
regulations, there's disposal methods, not only for that 15%, but all of your detritus.
Right.
It's basically-
Stem your leaf. You're not just like taking it to the dump in a
Yeah, you
garbage.
covered that in the last.
It's gonna be,
Yeah,
it's gonna go through hazardous waste protocol
Right,
that the
okay.
state has. It's like,
Right.
everything's gonna be totally like.
And that all has to be weighed and monitored. I know it's, again.
So, right now, we've got 2,000 with Pure Joy Farm, okay? We'll move on, I think I'm next, right? Tim and I are next. Tim and I, my farm, Roxbury Nursery in Dave's Greens, as most of you know, is in the National Seashore. So I will not be growing cannabis on the National Seashore until the federal government changes its mind. And then we'll be able to work on it then. But at the moment, we cannot. So we are looking to lease land. And like I mentioned earlier, we've obtained some leases already. The site that we were initially planning on doing it at Cabral Farm does not have electricity. So we couldn't come up with a solution financially that was going to allow us to bring electricity down to Cabral Farm that will make it economically viable for us to grow cannabis there. So Cabral Farm is off the table at the moment until maybe our business model ramps up to where we get some more cash flow going and we can then bring power down to there. But in the meantime, we can't bring power. So we are in negotiations. Numerous people have come to us looking to rent their land for us to grow cannabis on their property. So until those properties are completely nailed down and we have leases in hand and ready to move and the deal's been done, at that point, Tim and I will hold another meeting, just like this one, to talk to you about exactly the overlay maps, so you can see the percentage of the lot space we're going to use. We'll talk about greenhouses again. We'll talk about canopy again. We'll go through the whole process. And in the part of that process is that we'll have to notify the 300-foot abutters that is typical, with this kind of situation. So abutters will be notified. So once again, I'm going to continue to grow vegetables, even at $4 an hour, because that's who I am. Fortunately, my wife is a labor and delivery nurse, and she subsidizes my farming efforts completely. Okay, so unfortunately, I couldn't make enough money selling vegetables to buy a house in Truro. So I had to leave my utopia to go to suburbia. And that's a sacrifice I made for my family's future so that I could have pass it home to my kids, right? So Truro didn't offer me that. Truro offers me great surf, beautiful surroundings, wonderful people, but it didn't offer me the opportunity after 31 years of working in this town to buy land. I chose a line of farming. You don't become a farmer in Truro to make money. You do it, it's not about a quantity of money, it's a quality of life. And that's what John was talking about. Farms are way more important to us than just the vegetables and the dollars that you pass back and forth at the farmer's market. If that was it, I would have been out long ago. Never would I have gone 31 years struggling like I have been. So we, as a whole, value our land, value our farms, and I don't even know why I got on this train of thought, but basically, we need to have an opportunity to move up in tiers if we need to, if we want our business to succeed. It turns out that when the research happens, it's really about, I don't know if you know economies of scale, what the term means, but due to economies of scale, it's going to look about 10,000 square feet is going to be the bottom of this industry. In the beginning, it's going to be less because it's a new industry and there's no inventory, there's no, demand is so high that it's going to be great getting in the beginning. But then, as it flushes out, 10,000 square feet is going to be kind of like where people are going to make it or not make it. And that's just by using other states' models. You can get up to 100,000 square feet, but someone could come in with a big license and buy 5 licenses and have a lot of them. So, all of us need the opportunity to advance our businesses to the next step. Okay, is it going to happen year 1, year 2, year 3? It's really dependent on a lot. And with agriculture, like farming is, as growing cannabis is, it's going to depend on nature, weather, genetics, all sorts of things. So as we talk about tiers and canopy levels and square footage, we're going to enter it slow, and then we're going to slowly build up. And I think our intentions would be to use our entire 100,000 square foot if we can make our businesses grow that much and divide that up. Go ahead. Yeah.
So you don't have land here now, but you have people that are willing to let you lease land.
Correct.
So,
Well, we're in negotiations.
Okay.
And until I have a lease in hand, I'm not going to out those people and their properties.
Right. No, that's-
And then when the time comes, we have to have another meeting, and we'll have to have another abutter list sent out, a 300-foot abutter list sent out. So currently, as far as our business model goes, we're looking at somewhere between 5,000 square feet and 7,000 square feet, getting in the industry at that level. So now we're going to tack on, well, actually 7 is not realistic, it's more like 5. So we're looking at 5,000 square feet of production, now we're at 7,000 if you're keeping track, okay? So once again, we're going to use mixed production, greenhouse, indoor production, and open air cultivation. That's the way the business model is going to need to be to survive in this industry, in my opinion. You're going to need to be able to capitalize on all of that. The products we're going to be producing are flowers, which is the bud that you may or may not have smoked in the past, but the industry calls that flowers. It is technically a flower. Extracts will be produced. That's take away all the other parts of the cannabis plant, the waxes, the lignins, the fiber, the carbon. You strip all that stuff away and get just the cannabinoids, which are the medicinal part and the THC part. That's an extract. Seeds and cuttings. We're going to be producing and breeding plants, producing seed for sale as well. Sales distribution is going to be through licensed adult use dispensaries, once again, medical research facilities, processors, and medical dispensaries. I left my phone number there because it would be so easy if we could just talk to each other when a question comes up and we can arise it. Because then then the rumbling can slow down a little bit. And we can all catch our breath and write some good bylaws and get to town meeting. Because that's what ultimately, I think, everyone in this room probably wants.
But I think you've given us more information tonight than we've ever heard before.
We said this exact same thing at the second meeting we had. We went, because we had to define what tiers we were going into, because we had a checklist with the CCC checklist. We went down the checklist. Remember that? We went down, we had to cover all the specific.
But I think not having had this information before brought on a lot of uneasiness, because it's like, how much, where, what are they gonna do, you know?
Yeah.
So it's been helpful to hear your specifics.
And I, once again, my phone has always been there. I'm at the post office. You can just stop me and say, Dave, what are you gonna do? You want 10?
Well, I think many of us wanted the big picture.
Yeah.
Because it's not just a solitary.
But it actually ends up being lots of little pictures when by the time we get into it, you know. So feel free to contact us and talk to us, because that way we can have a discussion and dialogue that will benefit all of us, you know. And then the rumbling can stop. So that's basically it. When we've got our location determined, that's when we'll bring it to the public again. And we'll get a smaller room because we might not need a big room. But let's move on to the next farm. Up there's our logo, which we hope to be branded throughout the state. You too. There you go. So we're at 7,000 square feet. We're all on the same page.
I'll do it. All right, so we're out there grown, which is, right now we're out there organics, which is our regular farm. And we are also going to grow greenhouse, outdoor and indoor. And we are also located at 21 Bridge Road, which is John Hopkins and Deb's spot. And we are also within that yellow zone. We are only gonna grow about 2,000 square feet. That's canopy, not full space. So now we're at 9,000.
9,000?
9,000. It's not very much. We own and operate our own farm. We do all the work ourselves with our children and us. We use no-till methods, and we actually don't use any machinery either. We use a wheelbarrow, a shovel, and a pitchfork.
And hands.
And our hands. And our bags. I utilize only organic methods. I use organic fertilizers. I have not even used any pesticides this year. I get up very early in the morning and I crush bugs with my fingers. And then I go out at dusk and I crush more bugs with my fingers. That's my pest control method. I have a huge patch of milkweed on my farm that I tend to and it's an invasive species. And I try and keep it in one corner, but I battle it in all my fields. But to me, that's important to provide habitat. And that sort of goes back to that whole discussion of fence. So many animals move through my farm and my property. I have a little wetland on my property. We have a pair of ducks that come and go every year. And that's what's important to me, is actually the habitat. And part of the reason I'm an organic farmer is, yes, to have the food, but it's also a stewardship to the land. And that's something that we use in all of our agricultural practices. So we would continue that. That's pretty much it. If anybody else has any questions about that.
So you farm in the same spot that John does?
Yes, within that yellow square, we are both going to have our 2,000 square foot canopy.
And all of the vegetable farming is within the red?
Yeah, well, I farm on my farm. I don't, but I live in the seashore.
Okay.
So I'm
I didn't
unable
get-
legally to do this on my particular farm.
Ironically, we all live on the same road.
I know, we're all on Holsbury,
Except for Peter.
except for Peter. But I don't know if you know Holsbury, but the seashore sort of runs almost kind of down.
Everybody's starting to get to know Holsbury.
I know, huh? We're coming out of the woods. And all of our driveways are very long. If you drive down Holsbury, you will not see any farm.
That was my point earlier.
You cannot see this old bridge road is a long dirt road that comes off of Woodbury. My driveway is a very long driveway. The driveway up to Dave's spot, which is not where we're cultivating, is also. So as far as like seeing it and all of that, you already can't see any of our farms. And so, from the road, that is. So we will continue our vegetable production and flowers and herbs, and we have bees and all of that, and we'll continue that on our piece. But our gracious farmer neighbors have offered to rent us a piece of their land as well. So, so that's what we're going to do for the time being.
It's actually great for our business model because we share expenses of fencing if needed, for surveillance if needed, for computer system and geo-tracking, which I don't know if we'll get into it all here.
It's on there, but we're probably going to slim through that one pretty quick.
And also using, being able to bounce ideas off of each other with another person on the same site and sharing techniques is going to be very important. And that's something that sort of is across the entire Dune Craft Cooperative, is peer-to-peer help. And making sure that we're all doing it the same way so that someone's product doesn't test positive for pesticides or something else that was unforeseen. So we sort of can monitor each other, because really the success of one of us out of the co-op is not important as so much as the success of all of us as the co-op, because our tier level is dependent on that 85% of our inventory being sold. So it's sort of imperative.
For every member.
It's imperative that all of us put out a quality product.
Can I touch on the geotag just for a minute?
We're going to get to it.
We've got one left, right?
Yep.
Well, that's impossible to read. But it's pretty much the same as everybody else. Why don't we go to the next slide, because it shows the area, right? That's what people want to know about. Okay, so I think maybe I should get up and explain.
Just read it
this.
with a little laser
Yeah,
pointer.
so I don't have a laser pointer.
The house is here.
We have just under 10 acres of land off along the road. And that dark area, if we decided to grow cannabis, that's where we would do it.
Where's your house?
Our house is right where it says 139. That lot there, which is almost 3 acres, is where our house is. And this 140, that rectangle, is where my existing greenhouse is. We do a lot of our growing there as well as across the street. This road that goes up here is a subdivision which we own. And it's never been developed, so it's just sitting there vacant. And
Is there an actual road currently?
No, there's no road. There's no road.
It's all wooded area.
There never will be a road. It's highly, highly wooded area. The road, the way it's laid out like here, cannot be built in land court without approval. The grade is too steep. So if we wanted a road, it would have to come from over here, and it would run right through our house. So we're not interested in that. So this area here that you're looking at is a little over 3 acres, and it could easily take 100,000 square feet of canopy with no permit. Absolutely no permit. It's not in our intention to do that, but even with 100,000 square feet of canopy, we'd have another 20,000 square feet going around that space as buffer area. So this is a very, very wooded area, and members of the planning board have come up and seen this area and have agreed that there's no way anybody can see anything from up here, so it's not visible to any neighbors, really. We have a few neighbors that we abut, and then over here is the National Seashore. Now, this is not an easy parcel of land to farm. First of all, the soil is unusable. I've had it, for farming anyway, I've had it analyzed, and when I got the analysis back from UMass, the technician who did the analysis wrote on it in pen, "Don't bother." It's that bad. So growing in the ground up there is not possible. You could grow in bags, or you could put up
some kind of a greenhouse, either like the one that I have or a Quonset type greenhouse. And if we decided to grow up there, I have a lot of decisions to make because I've got to get water up there. It's quite steep. It's not easy to develop that. So until the town decides that they're going to give us a host community agreement and we get a license, there's no point in me doing anything. So I'm not really going to go up there and start to prepare this site. And one of the benefits of growing cannabis up there would be the fact that I can grow cannabis for medical use. I'm using some right now, medical marijuana, and it's made a hell of a difference in me being able to use my hands. My hands have been very, very arthritic to the point where I can't really do much with them. And now I can actually flex them. So the other benefit would be it gives us the ability to make it comfortable so that we can maintain all of that as open space. Every one of my neighbors along that subdivision, which is undeveloped, is living next to thick woods. So you ask about contributions to the town. I think that's a significant contribution to every one of my neighbors. They're living in a place where they have a lot of open space around them. And they don't have to worry about, you know, some big mega mansion coming in there.
I want to reel back to our square footage. Peter,
Yeah,
how many square feet do you intend to start year one if you get your HCA agreement?
and if I decide to go forward with the investments up there, between 2,000 and 4,000 square feet.
So we're at 9,000, so let's say we're at 13,000 square feet of canopy, year one. And I want to stress year one, because it wouldn't be in any one of these people's business model to stay at that level once the competition really ramps up in years to come. If we're gonna spend all of this money and time and energy for a license that's 100,000 square feet of canopy, then we should be allowed to use it. The state's gonna allow it. If we can get through the special permit process and the site review process, then we should be allowed to use that 100,000 square foot of production. So that, what did we say? We said 13,000?
Mhm.
Like I thought, Matt, as one of the first slides up there, I said we're going to enter the tier 3. Okay? Tier 3, there's been some discussion that we say we're going to be, you know, that we're going to, initially we said we're going to use 8,000 square feet, and it was maybe implied that that was going to be it. But we never, ever, in any of our meetings, and I had to go back through the tapes to watch, we never said we weren't going to advance and move forward up the tiers if our business's model can succeed and we can actually get there. We have to start small because we're all broke. So we have to incrementally go slowly. The beauty of that for the town is that we can see how this industry is going to really look. It is a utopia. This town is a wonderful nirvana, and I couldn't agree more with you. But I don't think our 14,000 square feet of production is going to change the face of Truro as dramatically as you may think. It's going to be secure. It has to be secured by the state. It has to be secured by the town of Truro Police and the fire department and the Board of Health and everything else. So we're going to comply with all the regulations to keep our license. We're going to be open and honest with you all along the process. So let's start small and work our way up eventually to where we're going to need to go. Every step, there's going to be a process that the town's going to be able to be involved in. So our goal is to just get started so we can get our brand into the industry and we can begin to make a name for ourselves and try to capitalize when the market is strong and good, which is in the beginning, because it's estimated in the beginning the prices will be roughly $1,800 to $2,000 a pound. But by year 4 and 5 and 6, it's estimated to be $400 a pound. So here's an industry where if you get in year 1, you may get enough of a niche and you may get your brand noticed, right? And people like your brand, that you may be able to get through the point where you can get down to $400 a pound for production. So it's important to us to move along relatively quickly. And like I said, we've been at this for a while, and I think we've been really communicative with the town, and I hope tonight's meeting is a little bit more clear about what our intentions are. But by no means are we saying we're going to stop at 14,000 square feet. Okay? If our business model can take us to the next step, then we're going to take it there. Okay? And I think that would be like any other business. I mean, the vineyard started off with wine, then they started buying in grapes from Colorado and California and New York State to make a lot more wine. Then they built a distillery and they made one thing. And now my good friend Dave Roberts is making really excellent spirits. And he's now up to like, I think he's got a 6th different product. Okay, he's advancing his business. Okay, something we want to do the same thing. And we're going to use the vineyard as an example because it's a controlled substance. Okay, it's something that is a concern. So we want a regulated cannabis industry that is tested and is safe. Okay, and is for 21 years or older. That's our goal. That's what this law is. Okay, it's to get the black market out of the business and get, in our case, local farmers in the business. Okay, everyone's driving up and down Route 6 Stone, and they've been doing it for a long time. Okay, and everyone's been growing pot for a long time, albeit they're growing more now than they were because they can do it legally now, and a lot more people can put it in the sun. So I'm going to rip through these slides now really pretty quick, just so we get any kind of other.
I'd like to say one more thing.
We were
I
pretty
just
late.
want to say one more thing about my farm. If you look up there, you see that heavy dark line on the right? That's the National Seashore boundary. This farm was 80 acres originally. And when my father-in-law bought it, he bought 30 acres of it. And all the lots that you see to the west were all part of the farm that my father-in-law bought. He sold off pieces over the years to put his kids through school. He was a school teacher. My point here is that I personally feel that there should be a special property category for legacy farms. And I'm addressing you, Steve, on this. And if there was, a lot of the issues that we're talking about here would go away. Because what we're trying to do is cram a bylaw to surround what's been done on farms or what is going to be done on farms that is applying to 3/4 acre lots. And that is just, I mean, that's why there's been issues. Because a lot of those things don't work in a farm context. So we're trying to do our best to work with these definitions for the bylaws. And I agree, should somebody on a 3/4 acre lot have a large greenhouse for growing cannabis? I don't think I'd like that very much. But we have, I happen to have a lot of land, but all these other people have over 2 acres too, and they're all legacy farms.
Should we get into it?
I thought Pure Joy was 1 acre.
Well, that lot is 1 acre. There's another lot that's another acre. In total, the full expanse that they have is 2.2 acres.
Okay.
Yeah, but we're only applying for that lot.
No, I was just confused.
He owns 2 contiguous lots.
So there is some of the security realities that has to happen.
What kind of fence is that right in the foreground?
Say that again? That's actually, we put that fence there because there is cannabis on the other side of that fence.
No, this wire fence.
Oh, that's
This is in Oregon.
Okay. Is that barbed wire?
But there's a lot of barbed wire in Oregon, okay?
Got a lot of cattle.
But we're showing you an example of what a security fence may look like in the town of Truro. Okay? No one has ever on our side said we're gonna have razor wire 10-foot chain link fences. That we never thought that. We never talked about that.
We don't want it.
None of us want that. You know, there's been certainly some rumors in town about razor wire fences. We are going to put the fence up that is appropriate for our neighborhood and that the state mandates we do. You know, if they want something that can't be seen through, then we're going to make sure we can't see through. If they want something that, you know, that's more structural than that, then that's, you know, we're going to follow whatever it is. But that is an actual cannabis farm in Oregon with that state's requirements. So, limited access, there's no one can access one of these businesses unless you are a certified agent. You have to get a license to the state to be an agent. An agent is an employee. Okay, that's what the state's calling them. So you have to be 21 years old. You have to go through a series of background checks. You have to go through job training on how to handle cannabis. You have to go through the responsible vendor program to learn how to do that. And not everyone will be certain limited accesses. Where the safe is, will be limited access. Okay, and where inventory is kept, every agent that you hire that might be your employee is not going to have access to every part of the farm. Product inventory is seed to sale, and real-time inventory includes waste. So waste has to be discussed, it has to be dealt with the Board of Health. We have to go through a lot of different rules to make sure that our waste is deneutralized, or whatever you want to call it, so whatever they call it.
It has to be unusable.
In an unusable form, so we may have to chop it up, or I mean, I don't know what we're going to do. I think we have to
Chop it up and
You have to put
add some kind of liquid additive thing to it to make it not work anymore. There's all sorts of things we're going to have to do. We can't just throw it in the compost pile and call it good. We have to actually go through a process that the state's going to mandatory and that the Board of Health is going to regulate. So transportation.
Bring it back to just really quick, to the seed to sale, real-time inventory. Another cost we'll have to incur, sort of when you go to the Stop and Shop and you can shop with the little scanner. Much like when you get a tag for your lobster pot, we will have to receive a GPS tag from the state, and that will be from seed. So you'll receive, say, your 40 tags, and then I have the seed, I'll scan it, it will go with the seed. Every time that seed is transplanted, the plant is touched, you scan again. And that's a GPS scanner, so it's going to the CCC.
Just look.
There it is.
Yeah, just.
Sorry.
We went ahead of the slide.
Sorry. And that's all the way from seed to the very end. So when you load it in the vehicle to take it to the dispensary, you'll scan it. When it gets to the dispensary, it will be scanned again.
As far as, we, part of our license will allow us to transport our product to our clients, okay? We will have to have two agents, 2 employees in the vehicle. There has to be a bolted, safe deposit thing installed in the car. There can be no signage on the car that makes it look like it's a cannabis anything. There has to be every half-hour check?
Every half hour.
Every half hour, we have to call into the state and say, here we are.
To the farm.
To the farm, I'll get you the base. And then you can't take the same route to the same place every time. You have to mix it around. There's going to be a lot of process involved in getting it distributed as well. So this is the seed to sale flow chart I created. It shows you the whole process that we have to go through from beginning to end. Every plant, once it's 8 inches high, will get what's called a geotag. It's a GPS monitored thing, so they can watch that plant leave from one part of the facility to the next. They'll be able to follow it with GPS and on video, because we're all going to be videoed. The whole thing will be on video. So, and then like Stephanie said, that process goes all the way through to sale. So plant number 412 is going to get processed. It's going to get sold to this medical research facility at Tufts, and it's going to all be monitored through the GPS and through what's called the geotags. There's a really sophisticated group that's going to be controlling the geotags. They're also involved in Oregon and I believe Washington as well. The state is, using them as a vendor. I think it's, pretty much it in there. Any questions about that? It's kind of the outline of our business, really. It's like what we have to do from beginning to end here.
Okay.
So the next one is, this was from our second meeting we had. We decided that after the first meeting, we had heard a lot of concerns. So we thought we would bring these are the first concerns we heard from our first meeting that we brought to you at the second meeting. We went over all one of these concerns at that time. So is there anything here that, any of your concerns that is not on this list?
Sure. I just want to say, the desire to expand the canopy to 100,000 square feet. What if the town did not want you to expand to 100,000 square feet and wanted to limit that to something less than 100,000 square feet?
That would limit our ability to be successful. In an
I understand that,
In an
but
industry
you
that's going
also-
to be very volatile.
Well, I think that with the lawyer, compromises the answer. I think there's a little bit of fear, and it may be misguided, but from, what I understand, is that the town wants you to be able to get that foothold, or at least is trying to make that happen. But the ability of the town to keep a commercial cultivator from coming in and being a 100,000 square foot canopy grower is part of the concern that the planning board has. And there's nothing that I would like more than to keep every farm that farms to continue farming. That would be absurd to lose farmland. So I'm in favor of keeping the farms. And it was an interesting point that farmland that has been farmland for 100 years, suddenly becoming more trophy homes is the last thing I would want to see. So I just, but the canopy,
So are
the
you?
tier factors,
Yeah,
I think that I've been in meetings all day already, so
I know.
Steve, as a business person, this makes no sense.
which makes no sense.
For someone who has several $1 million to come to Truro
We discussed that, absolutely.
and to buy some place where they can put 100,000 square feet of canopy.
I understand that.
I mean, the property costs are
Absolutely.
very high, and the operating costs are high, and the transportation, they'd have to take to someplace else. There's plenty of other places in the state of Massachusetts. If I had that kind of money, I would take that money and invest it somewhere else.
Not
So,
arguing that.
I just want a little clarification, because you mentioned the cultivator, a larger cultivator coming in. Are you talking about a craft cooperative? Or are you talking about the cultivator?
There's so much in the CCC. One of the lines in there is that the town cannot make it so onerous that you can't have your business. And that's tough, because what the town wants to do is make it hard for a Houston-based marijuana manufacturer to come here, but we want to make it easier for a cooperative to exist. And separating the two, although they're in the definitions, and you'll be able to read the whole thing at some point soon.
I mean, with,
It means between the cultivator and the cooperative.
It's very difficult to make it clear and allow people to understand what it is. And the tiers, I would say, if you can reach a certain point with the cooperative, that would allow you to exist, but probably keep that 100,000 number out of the picture, might be a path. And I understand,
Well, we've already limited within our own
Yes,
Dune Craft Cooperative
so
bylaws
that's only the
to
start.
50,000.
Right.
so none of us can get any.
None of us can get any bigger than that.
And the other thing that, everyone here doesn't have a
One
freebie.
second, so what you're saying is that you've already decided that 50,000 would be the top end of the
For
corridor.
individual farm.
Within the
One
co-op.
member of the co-op cannot have more than 50,000 square feet of canopy without serious discussion about their future in the co-op.
They'd probably have to leave the co-op if they wanted.
So 5 farms could have 20,000.
Yeah, I see some issues with the canopy totals, but I mean, on the whole, I appreciate the presentation, and I understand, I know most Truro residents do not want to see fences as their security. So the screening is an issue that people are interested in. The security is an issue that people are interested in. And the other thing that you brought up, Mr. Stadman, was about these farms are actually in what is now residential districts, what was once farming districts. And so...
The residences have come to the farm.
Yes, and so who has the power is the question. Do the residents say, I don't want pods and greenhouses and pot growing around my house because this is my special place?
And correct me if I'm wrong, but wouldn't the special permit process address those issues?
Absolutely will.
And
I'm just raising these up. I hope I'm not trying to confuse anyone, because I think what you said, and it's really true, if it was originally was a farm and we can save that land as farmland, this is the #1 issue. That's a farm still. The product, we may not all agree with it, but it's still a farm.
I want to go back because I want a little clarity from when you first started the discussion. The concern is some of the concern is of the Houston-based 100,000 square foot license coming in. Now, not a lot of people have had privy to the bylaws that have been in flux over the last few weeks.
That's right.
In the process of the negotiations, in the process of these bylaws being cooperatively worked on between the planning board and our organization, the cultivator license, which is not what we're going for. We're going for the craft cooperative license. Big difference. The cultivator license has been taken off the table for residential district.
Yes, it
Okay?
is.
So there is something we've already
It's
negotiated.
clear that we're not going to allow the cultivator, which is the big business, to exist in residential districts.
And basically the way Truro is, that there really is nowhere because it also can't be near the school.
These are things that you didn't cover because they are actually going to be part of the bylaw.
Yeah, so I don't want to discuss the bylaws that have been in flux because these folks haven't had privy to that. I mean, we've been posting along the way as we go on our Facebook page, but the bylaws are complex.
Yeah, that one part
that's something that was removed. And another thing is it wasn't unlimited micro businesses and unlimited craft cooperatives. There's been a cap. Discussion about how many craft cooperatives can there be in the town of Truro. Okay, so that's in the new bylaw. That's in the draft that is being drafted every minute. It feels like there's a new draft that comes out like 5 a day. So it's hard to keep
People
up.
are not that many, but it's more than we need.
So there is, there's a lot of other provisions that have gone into these bylaws. One being a boundary. If you want to build a shed within 25 feet of your property line, you got to go to the town and get all this special permission. Okay, we've extended the cannabis boundary to 50 feet, so we've already doubled in residential district. So we've already doubled our buffer zone that the town already exists. Okay, so there's been a lot of give and take in this process. A lot more than any of us obviously we're not lawyers, we're not town planners, so it's been a lesson for all of us, but the goal, and I think Steve can appreciate the goal, is to get one set of bylaws to town meeting that we can get passed. That the 61% of the town that voted yes for cannabis that might want it here can have their voice heard as well. So we need to collaboratively work together to get there, and I applaud Karen Tosh for the effort she has done so far, because she's really been working very, very hard, and I applaud our lawyer who's been working really, really hard to get to where we are today. And part of that is our give and take. Ethically, do I want to limit anyone's businesses? Probably not. It's not who I am. It's a free America. You want to have a business, you can have a business. But in the big picture, there's concessions made. And I think that when you get a chance to read the bylaws, they'll begin to make a lot more sense about the limits that are placed upon us and on future businesses. I'm not just trying to look at of us, but what about my grandkids if they want to have a cannabis business in Truro? Or what about another existing farm like, you know, the Canes or the Perrys want to get into the business, okay? We don't want to limit them, right? We don't, if one of them, if George Mooney's grandkid wants to have a cannabis farm on his property, well, then I think George Mooney's grandkids should know how to have that. You know, if that's what if they're going to be crazy enough to try to get into this industry, which is beginning to look crazier and crazier every day. But, you know, I don't want to limit everyone in the future, you know, but, so we've reined in things, we've really controlled, we've really negotiated a lot and made a lot of concessions to the future of how this will look in our town. And I keep going back to the special permit process in the site, because that is where the town has a say in what and where this business is going to look like. We can't have a location without that special permit. So everything, whether it's a 1 acre lot, a 2 acre lot, a 10 acre lot, whatever it is, commercial, residential, you know, we're all giving up Beach Point because it's a little sensitive up there. But I mean, you know, this industry's here, it's not going to go away, and it's going to just keep knocking on the door. And we need bylaws, because without bylaws, it's a lot worse of a situation than we would be without it. So we need to be able to work together, get our concerns addressed, and bring it to the table, and then we can start to continue our negotiation. You know, as a prudent business person to go into this industry, the town cannot create barriers for us to get into this business, okay? It's a lawsuit. If the town creates undue barriers, okay, we're looking at a lawsuit. And that's what none of us want. But the reality is the law says that the town cannot create undue barriers for a prudent business person to want to enter this industry. If a prudent business person can't get more than 10,000 square feet of production, canopy production, they're not going to want to go into business. Economies of scale are going to dictate that, okay? We need to be able to move up in tiers. We can't stay at tier 3. We won't make it. The numbers will not work. And it's a frightening sight. They'll work for the first couple of years when the demand is high. As soon as the demand goes down and production goes up in the state, okay, that's when, like any other agricultural commodity, you grow too much, price drops, okay? So it's going to flush itself out. It looks like it's going to be minimum to get into the game, you're going to need 10,000 square feet to stay legitimate and to stay relevant in the industry. The big guys are coming. They're coming with 5 licenses, 500,000 square feet. There's a facility being built with 1 million square feet right now, guys. Okay? That's what's happening in this state.
No,
Not in Truro.
no, it must be Mass.
Why are you threatening?
I'm not threatening. I'm just telling you, I'm just telling you, if you look at the bylaws that have been written now, you're going to see that that's not going to happen here. There's a reality that what could happen, and then there's a reality of what couldn't. You know, if there's no bylaws, if the bylaws are not voted upon and agreed upon and passed by this town, it's going to be a problem, because there's going to be no bylaws to control the industry. And anyone with big, deep pockets will get a lawyer to fight it. And then they'll be able to come here and open up shop and with no bylaws. We need bylaws to protect the town.
I think the town's working on them, right?
We've been working, it's not just the town, it's our group and the
Yeah,
town.
that's what I mean.
We've been working diligently, and that's what I'm saying. We've made a lot of compromises throughout the negotiations. One of them was removing the marijuana cultivator from the residential district. So that big guy with the 100,000 square foot, right, can't come in to Truro and do it. So, what is that?
We're 45 minutes over and the town's maintenance person is concerned.
Truro isn't a great place for agriculture. Why are you thinking that someone's gonna come in and buy up all this land?
I'm not thinking that.
That's what we're saying is not going to happen.
That's the rumbling we've been hearing in the town, that there's going to be a 100,000 square foot greenhouse, blazing lights all night long on a piece of property.
And it's not
That's the
gonna
rumbling we've been hearing.
Have we not heard
Day in and day out, that's the rumors we've been hearing. And that's not what we are. When it's not what we are, that's not even what we're advocating. We actually advocated the opposite. So I want everyone to realize that we are not really like on much different pages than you think. There's just some fine details about square footage. And there has to be some reality to be in this business to be able to move up in tiers for us to be successful. If we can't move up in tiers, we can't be successful. We now have barriers that are inhibiting us to get into this business, which can be fought in the court of law. And I'm not trying to threaten lawsuits. I'm saying we don't have the means for a lawsuit. It's not us. If we don't get the bylaws, it's going to be someone else who wants to come here because there's no bylaws. They'd be like, hey,
You
let's go.
don't have to tell me about the bylaws,
Yeah.
David, okay? We all understand that we need bylaws.
Yeah, so
You can-
the
Okay,
goal
let's
is,
call it a
that
night.
we can get on the same page and get this thing through.
Let's wrap it up.
It's 9:44, we all have a farmer's market
Yeah, I gotta go
tomorrow.
to bed.
Yeah,
gotta go to
really.
court.
Okay, we're 45 minutes over.
Court,
Thank you so
so-
much for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Yay.
Talk to us
Thank you.
at the post
Thank
office,
you.
call us. If you have any questions, just keep on discussing.
So is Joe here right now?